Now that we have our basic shape in and we've marked off our 12, 3, 6, and 9 positions for our petals, we can start to draw. Starting with petals that are at 12, 6, and 9 o'clock. And then I'm going to fill in the rest of them in between. And this way I know everything is going to be in the correct place as I start to assemble this drawing. Again, as you can see, I'm still working quite loosely, just getting everything into place before I start to do anything else. Now, this position here, you can see that this petal here is foreshortened. So as I've explained, when you are foreshortening, do not look at the petal as having the same length as the longer petals. You have to look at them as a shape rather than as a petal. So you might get some weird looking things like this, but in fact it is truly what the petal looks like. And when you get this whole thing assembled, you will see that it works out and looks the way it should look in terms of the perspective of the drawing. Still quite loose, because this is just blocking everything in where it needs to be blocked in. I'm working with two different photographs of this flower because I happen to like the leaves on one of them, and I'm going to make that change on the drawing. Now you can do that. You don't have to draw exactly what you see when you see something that doesn't seem to work really well. So I have made a couple of minor changes here. As long as you don't destroy the integrity of the flower in the process of drawing, then you'll be okay. So now we have a sketch. Now we have to start thinking about the finer details. And that is going to require very close observation. So you can actually work from the actual specimen, or you can work from the photograph to get the contour lines. When you look at the sunflower, you will see there are lots of internal things going on. I am not interested in that portion of the flower at this point. All you need to do is the actual line drawing, But it must be a really accurate line drawing. I do not want you to sketch through this and not do something that is very accurate. Once you've figured out the position of your petals, you can take the markers off so that you can actually see the true contours of the shapes that you are working with. I'm going to start drawing very, very accurately in order to get the line drawing that you're going to need for rendering. So I'm going to start again at my 3 o'clock shape here. And you might find as you're drawing that you may have to shift things a little from the original sketch that you created in order to refine the accuracy. Really look carefully as you're working. To get a true picture of what's happening. So here's my foreshortening shape. You can see it doesn't look anything like a petal, but in fact, because you've drawn what you see, it will work out very nicely in the final rendering. Look at where things align in relation to one another. It's much easier to look at a line and see where it's going in relation to something else. Now if I put another piece of tissue underneath it, you can see how much more accurate my petals are as I am going around the flower. It's very important that you really look at the contours of your drawing, and you may have to do a second drawing in order to even refine this more. This drawing might need more work, in which case I'll do another second tracing, especially where I've got a couple areas here which are sketchy that I don't want when I have to transfer this to good drawing paper. Now in this area here, the detail gets quite confusing because we have a curled petal in here. We've got a petal that flips up into the area of the center, and then we've got some more foreshortening, and then we have some regular petals in this area. And I think that sometimes it helps to just draw in, even though the regular petal is hidden, but you can kind of figure out where it would go and just lightly draw it in and get the most obvious petal drawn in first so that you know where to place the other more complicated petals in the format. So that's what I've done. I've put these two petals in, and then I'm going to tackle this other petal, which comes out at a very strange angle. So as I said, it is a foreshortening situation, and if you just draw in the shapes that you see, then this thing will come together and it will look the way it should in real life. The whole key with drawing is to look at everything as basic shapes and try not to let your brain talk you into something else. And this probably will require a second drawing because this that I'm drawing now is much more detailed, but still may not be perfectly accurate. But at least it gets us closer to where we need to be in terms of the structure. I have drawn in all of the fine details for the flower itself. And now I am going to go ahead and I'm going to use another photograph of the same flower that was photographed earlier when the leaves were a little bit more lively, and I'm going to add those to this flower. So I'm going to switch photographs and proceed with this drawing.